Hey guys, before we begin, I just want to let you know this is actually a three-part video series. This is the first part I did with another YouTuber. I'd like to thank very much Jommi from Jommi Plays. Please see link in the description below for his channel. He's another game streamer. He's awesome. Check him out. What this is kind of an open format I did. It was a kind of an interview going over Fallout 76 with another YouTuber, and I actually ended up getting a very different perspective on the game that I haven't actually seen in the Fallout 76 discussion. So we go with some really good information. I get a really different perspective that I wasn't expecting. I really like it. Thank you again to Jommi. And again, three-part series. Here's the first part. Check it out. And here we go. All right. Hello, YouTube. This is Venom with We of Atlanta Entertainment. And today I've got a very special guest with me. I've got Jommi from, your channel's called Jommi. So I've got Jommi from Jommi.
Just playing, yep. Jommi Just PlayN.
There you go, Jommi Just PlayN. So before we begin, any Twitters or any other channels you want to plug or anything like that?
No, I don't have all that fancy stuff. I'm an old guy. I just finally got my first smartphone this year, so I don't have any of that Twitter or tweets or any of that stuff. So
damn, you're right. I got a Twitter. It's mainly for business. Whenever I'm streaming, I'll try to post a video if I remember. Most of it's just been YouTube streaming and making videos, which, as you can see, we're trying to get back into doing, get more scripted stuff going too. So,
okay. Yeah, sounds good.
But like I said, everybody, this is a YouTuber I was talking about yesterday. Again, I didn't name him in case we had to move times. I didn't want anybody going after him, or I didn't think anybody would. My YouTube, viewers are pretty cool, but I wanted to hold off on saying who it was until we actually had the video out and everything. So,
sure.
Got you here. So, all right. So the topic today is Fallout 76. Keep in mind, this video may be broken into 2 to 4 parts depending on how far we go. So I'll say if it ends up going further, I kind of make a new intro for it and kind of continue off where the discussion left off. I've got several topics for Fallout 76 I kind of want to go over. But just for perspective, Jommi, you're telling me you never actually played an Elder Scrolls or a Fallout game.
Never, ever, ever. I've seen like bits and pieces of the game, and a couple other friends and stuff wanted me to get the Elder Scroll one. I've seen bits and pieces of that. Never drawn to it. I mean, when you asked me about it, I was like, is that the one with the German Shepherd you're running around with? That's all I remember from it. So.
Oh, yeah, that's good stuff. So this will be, like I said, this will be, and we've talked a little bit, before we started recording about some of this, but I think it'd be great to get an outside perspective because most people that look up, Fallout 76 kind of stuff or Fallout or Bethesda period, they're usually, fans of the games. We've played the games for a while. I've been playing Bethesda games since, it's maybe 2006, around the time Morrowind came out for the Elder Scrolls. So I've been playing for a while. I've been a pretty big fan. But oftentimes I kind of forget what it would look like from the outside, what's going on with these companies and how the games are progressing, that kind of thing. So it'll be interesting for me to get an outside perspective on someone, or from someone who tends to play, like you said, more multiplayer games and not so many single-player games, because you said you just kind of don't really play single-player games too much at all, correct?
Well, I love playing games with other people. I mean, it's more fun. I don't do PvP, but it's just more fun for me. But I have gotten a few of the single-player ones. But how many of, what is it, Fallout 4 was the one before this one coming out? Or
correct. So for quick history, because I got to give you a little bit of a rundown now that we got some time. Fallout 76 is being made by Bethesda Game Studios. They're owned by ZeniMax. So that's your quick rundown as far as, the studios involved. Back in the day, and I could not tell you the original owners of it, but Fallout actually used to be a top-down isometric game. Fallout 1 and 2 came out. I never did play them. But when Bethesda took over the license, they made Fallout 3. That took place in Washington, D.C. Later on, another Fallout came out. It was Fallout New Vegas. For that one, Bethesda actually hired out Obsidian Games, or Obsidian, another game company, to make Fallout New Vegas, which is traditionally held as the best Fallout game. But technically speaking,
your opinion on it too? It's the best one out there, the Vegas one?
I definitely like aspects of it better than 4, but I like some parts of 4 better than it. So as far as an RPG, New Vegas is definitely better. As far as game overall, I think they're about tied for me as far as what they both offer for me. And I get into some of what changed up in the next part because I also made Fallout 4, which is one you're a bit more familiar with, the German Shepherd dog meat in there and everything.
Yeah, that's all I remember is a dog running around and you're sick in the dog and go run in front and stuff. The videos I remember seeing. But.
Exactly. So, and now, of course, they're coming out with Fallout 76, which is the first online Fallout game by Bethesda. They're also popular for games like Doom, but their other big RPG has been the Elder Scrolls games.
Mm-hmm.
Probably the biggest ones that, excuse me, most people would know about would be Elder Scrolls Morrowind, which would be traditionally Elder Scrolls 3. They had a couple before that, Elder Scrolls Arena and something, or Daggerfall and Arena. I forgot which one came first, but they were really old. You can't even really find them anymore to get them. So Morrowind would really be the first one that most people would be familiar with.
Oh, this
Um,
is definitely going to be a multiplayer online then.
oh yeah, most definitely.
Okay.
The next one was Elder Scrolls Oblivion, and then the newest one is Elder Scrolls Skyrim. Now, their parent company did come out with, and this is the one that your friend was talking about, with an online Elder Scrolls game. It was made
Mm-hmm.
by the parent company, though, ZeniMax. Again, ZeniMax owns Bethesda. Bethesda had very little to do with the game. They still helped out with it, but overall, it was done by ZeniMax. So it was an
Okay.
online game. I kind of described it. Again, I know you've seen a little bit of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Doesn't really play like a traditional Elder Scrolls game. I mean, there are definitely it is an Elder Scrolls setting, but and keep in mind I played it during the beta. I played it for a couple years after it came out. I did like it, but it definitely didn't feel like playing an Elder Scrolls. It felt like just playing like any generic MMO with Elder Scrolls stuff tied into it. I liked it
Okay.
fine, besides the bugs that came out when it first came out, which of course MMOs, pretty much any huge game like that's going to have plenty of bugs when it comes out. Um,
Now that's all online though. All that stuff is online. You
Yes,
said.
yes.
Okay.
For that particular one, Elder Scrolls Online, that is all online. It is basically an MMO. It's online, no single player, anything like that. You can play by yourself, but it is in strict
Now, can you
MMO.
get dedicated servers for this one Fallout then? 76? You can't.
We're getting into that here in just a little bit, but
Okay.
eventually they will. But we're getting at just a little bit. But
Okay.
that's basically the back history of Bethesda and these two game series. And I bring up the Elder Scrolls on this to kind of show that the big names that they are known for, they have done experiments with them before. Elder Scrolls Online is kind of the one I would rate as an experiment up till now, even though ZeniMax really made it. But really, it's going to be the first online, uh, again, Fallout game, but really the first online game from these two series that Bethesda themselves are making.
Okay.
The best way to describe it, again, if you've seen some of the Fallout 4 stuff, it looks like Fallout 76 looks like Fallout 4, but online. So I know it's not much of a benchmark since you haven't played them, but that's kind of
Hmm.
the best I can kind of give you right now as far as kind of how to compare them.
Okay.
So
Sounds good. Yeah.
as far as what the actual games are about, I kind of told you yesterday. The Elder Scrolls series is more of the the magic and dragon type aspects, the medieval, magical creatures, demons, gods, that
Hmm.
kind of thing. And the
Yeah.
Fallout
Yeah.
series is more of the realistic alternate timeline type series. So more realistic technologies that could technically be conceivable, but kind of like really like a perpetual. Imagine like America perpetually stuck in the 1950s, but
Okay.
with advanced nuclear technologies that look, totally different from what we'd
Oh,
have
that's what
today.
I saw. Is that it seemed like that it was 1950s commercial kind of things. These guys running around, the little guy running around handing out coffees or beers or something, and the cards and all that. I got a feel for that. The 1950s or 60s, early 60s there.
Yeah, so that's definitely as far as the alternate timeline, they definitely seem to be stuck in the 1950s. That's always been kind of the theme of Fallout. It kind of, I mean, it lends to it. I mean, they do it a pretty good job of building the world off of that. And you definitely get a feel that this is America, but something is definitely off, but still conceivably something that could happen.
Yeah, that's what I got a feel is kind of a post-apocalypse too,
Yeah,
a little
exactly.
bit. Yeah.
So yeah,
And
definitely
what I guess
post-apocalypse.
what's the
Yeah.
background of it? It's just it is it in West Virginia, right? It takes place in West Virginia, or
Yeah, this one, Fallout 76, is going to be taking place in West Virginia. Fallout 4 took place in Boston. Fallout New Vegas, of course, in Vegas. And
mm-hmm.
Fallout 3 took place in Washington, D.C.
Okay.
So this will be in West Virginia. Again, it's going to be completely online. Like, I mean, there is no option for offline. They made it very clear the game will never be single player only. It will only be
Okay.
online. Eventually, they are going to come out with, or try to come out with, private servers for you, so you could actually rent a server through Bethesda and then do whatever you want with it. Just you and your buddies would go in there,
Okay.
which is kind of one of the first things that people have been worried about because whether you know it or not, the Elder Scrolls and the Fallout series also have a huge modding community. and I'd say one that easily rivals Minecraft or any other kind of game. So I mean,
Oh,
Minecraft definitely has a head start on some of these games, like Fallout 4. You know, Minecraft's been out longer, but as a whole, I'd say Bethesda and their mods. I mean, there are whole systems in place now for modding these kind of games. I mean, Bethesda's for the most part been fairly good with their modding community. There's been a few, controversies here and there. Bethesda did recently come out with a paid modding service. They didn't shut down the modding community at all. They basically made an alternate service to kind of allow modders to make money off their mods. It's a
oh,
hold word thing. Technically speaking, modders can't actually make money off the mods that they make, but they can have Patreons. But the Bethesda.net store is basically a way for them to actually make direct money from it. There's been a lot of controversy behind it, though, because a lot of the mods that are for sale are mods that have better free versions. And it's not like you got to go through, pulling teeth. You learn a little bit
mm-hmm.
about the game and how to mod it up. And I mean, there are, again, whole websites dedicated. Like the Nexus is probably the biggest website for Bethesda modding there is. And I mean, once you know what you're doing, I mean, it really is as easy as just clicking on the mod you want, installing it, making sure it's in the right spot in your load order, and going. So
Now, do they have mods that you can put on the older versions of the Fallout?
yes, Fallout
Oh,
New
okay. I
Vegas,
didn't know.
Fallout 3. Again, the games before that, I mean, you can't even really find those games, but yes, any of the new,
Oh,
or
I
I
didn't
say
know
newer,
that.
but yeah, 3, New Vegas, 4, same with the Elder Scrolls, Morrowind, Oblivion, Skyrim. I mean, these have got huge modding scenes. In fact, I think right now Fallout 4 might actually have the most mods out of all the other games. I got to double check on that. It was either that or Skyrim, one of those two. But the newer games definitely have a ton of mods. I mean, you can completely change up your experiences.
Now, do you actually do the mods too, or you just play the game and straight for it?
No, I
And
play
have
with
you done?
mods. Like even the
No, but have you done any modding yourself?
oh no, I'm not a mod. I'd like to get into it. Definitely am interested in it, but it takes a lot more time. I'm not even
Yeah,
sure what I would want to do because some of the mods, excuse me, that I would want to make are like complete system type changes. And there are some modders that are really talented out there that do it. I honestly envy it a
yeah,
bit. I'd like to get into it, but all this kind of lends into me just kind of building more background and how these are traditionally single player games that have actually thrived because of, and even Bethesda's admitted, their games thrive because of the modding community. One of the reasons
definitely.
that
Yeah.
Skyrim has lasted as long as it is, I mean, it's been released, I think, 20, I need to get the number. I'm not even going to try and quote a number, but it's been re released on pretty much every system in existence. One of the reasons for that is because the modding communities kept it up. I mean, yeah, some systems like the Switch you can't mod, but especially on like PC now you can mod on Xbox and PS4 for the newer games for Fallout
Hmm.
4. I think Skyrim too. I got to double check, but I haven't played Skyrim on anything but a PC in years. But the modding community is one of the reasons that these games have such longevity and why they're so popular, even though the games themselves, the newer ones, people have had some issues with on a couple of the changes that they made in there. But all
Yeah,
that's really just me kind of building the backstory on these as single player games.
yeah, and I think it's an awesome way that the companies and the developers should actually help on the modding because people go out and buy the vanilla game and they need to buy that in order to play the mod. So why not? You got people out there doing your work for you, kind of in a sense, making different aspects of the game.
Yeah,
It's awesome
exactly.
seeing it.
And
Yeah.
a lot of the stuff is actual bug fixes from the game too, because something else that is kind of hand in hand with Bethesda. There's two things that you need to, that everyone just kind of expects when you get an Elder Scrolls or a Fallout game. That's going to be a giant modding scene and insane bugs from the game, which has been
Yeah.
another point of contention. They've been using the same engine to make these two game series for a while. They're working on a new one finally, but this engine has led to some serious like game breaking bugs.
Oh
Um,
no. What
they,
engine are they using for Fallout 76 then?
I think it's the same engine.
Ouch.
Yeah, which is one of the topics that I have on here as far as glitches. But again, this kind of paints a background on the history of it. And one of the first things that people thought when they saw a new Fallout game was coming out was that it was not going to be a single player game. It's going to be a multiplayer only game. Now, Bethesda already said if you're expecting, a traditional single player Fallout experience, don't expect that. From what people have said who've played it, and even me seeing it and knowing about it myself already, it does look like a Fallout game, definitely. Um, it's gonna still play like it, but it's not necessarily gonna be that RPG experience you're looking for. It definitely looks more of a crafting survival type game. It does have a storyline. It does have quests. It does have stuff to do besides just like a game where 7 Days to Die when we both play,
Mm-hmm.
or it's really just you know what you have to do. Every 7 days a horde's going to come, so you're just building up to survive for that horde. There are actually quests and things to do in the game. You do level up, you do want to build a base, you do want to defend yourself, and there is a story to actually go along and do it, just like any other MMO online would be. There's also repeatable quests, different things you can do and gather up. There is in-game content already for the game, so there are things to do. So it's a combination of an MMO and a survival crafting game. Does that make
Now you
sense?
said there was some drama between some of the fans of the original game who don't like that multiplayer part of it, or
Yeah, that's the first part is it turning into a multiplayer. And again, it's not them saying that they've been pretty upfront about this that it's an experiment. It's not them saying
mm-hmm.
all Fallouts are going to be online now. They want to try something different, which I respect as a company. But some people, they automatically, and even I do, when you hear the name or the word Fallout or the word, Elder Scroll or name Elder Scrolls, you think, vast single player experience, not an online game. So just for that very fact that really that they're experimenting with something has already kind of turned off a lot of people. And personally, I
is there?
mean,
I mean, is there a big difference with? I mean, experience. I don't, because the map is pretty big, right?
it's
I
like,
would think that
yeah,
because
it's
I know
pretty
that
big.
Elder Scrolls one, everybody's telling me that is huge. That you more than likely won't even run into another player, actual player.
On Elder
Is that
Scrolls Online, I'd say that's more a player count. I mean, when I played Elder Scrolls Online, it was just like any MMO. You run into people all the time. I mean, it's an MMO. There are certain places where you got to
yeah?
pick up quests. I mean, it played like MMO. You definitely run into people. And Fallout 76, the game map is huge. I'd say after about a week or two of playing, once people have actually, gotten past the beginning area and kind of spread out a bit, they found where they want to build. Because you can build in almost anywhere. There are certain parts where you can't build your own personal base. But just like quest areas or places where you would be able to block other people from progressing, you can't build there. But
So is
pretty
that
much
the
anywhere else you can.
is that where the main drama, I guess, or the hang up is that they don't want to play the game with other people being in the same instances they're in, or is it
Basically, period. So
okay?
one of the concerns is that people are interested. Again, these are just the basic concerns from going to a MMO style game or a multiplayer game versus single player. One of the
Okay.
concerns has been PvP. So originally, I guess they didn't want to have PvP in the game at all.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't want that risk of players killing each other, just to mess with each other. They did
Mm-hmm.
add it in, but they did it in a very interesting way. So
How's that?
when you meet another player, first off, I know I mentioned this, but I'll mention it again here on the recording. There are no human NPCs at all in this game on the online one. And
Okay.
any other Fallout game, it'll be plenty of human NPCs or even robot NPCs or whatever. It could be
Mm-hmm.
anything. Here, there are no human NPCs. There will be robot NPCs. There will be super mutant NPCs, which are basically mutated humans, but there's just going
So
to
no
be
matter what, if you come up on somebody who's human, you know it's another player.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Exactly, and I
okay.
think that's what they wanted to
Mm,
do. And from the onslaught, that aspect right there has already thrown players for a loop because that seems like a very weird choice. I know it seems like they started with the we want every human that you run across for you to know that's a player. It's like they started from that aspect and worked
mm,
backwards, which is weird because looking at the game now, looking at everything, it makes no sense from the lore, from the timeline, that there wouldn't be humans there. So the background of this is that the Vault 76 opens up. You're a vault dweller. That means you basically have been living underground, to get away from nuclear
mm-hmm.
bombs. And Vault 76 opens up, and it's your job to basically rebuild the U.S. And this point in time, when the vault opens up, there were people outside. Some people survived the bomb drop. Other people from vaults, were also out there at the time. So there were people in the U.S., but in this particular area, for some reason, they're saying there are no humans whatsoever in the area. that doesn't make sense from the lore portion. So the big lore
Sure.
junkies are already upset about that one. And again, it seems like they shoehorned in the no human NPCs aspect just so they could say if you run across a human, you know it's a player, which is
Yeah, that.
novel, but is throwing people off, and I'm not even sure how I feel about it.
Well, me coming into it fresh, I would think, well, my God, that makes it so simple that if you see a human being running around, you know it's another player. You don't have to worry about it. But I can see their point too, is because I believe you had other NPCs that were human in the other one where they're traders or whatnot, and you can converse with them. But I see how it would come into play when you're talking about PvP and in a multiplayer game like this. It would help out.
Exactly. And interest you said Trader 2. That was one of the first concerns that got brought up when they said no human NPCs. They
Mm-hmm.
had to verify, and people, one of the first things they said, does that mean there's going to be no NPCs at all? How are we going to get quests? They did say there was going to be quests in there, and then they turn around and say there's going to be no human NPCs, where traditionally you got 99% of your quests from human NPCs or humanoid NPCs. So it turns out there will be NPCs, it's just going to be robots or super mutants. So it's just no humans in that aspect, which again, that helps out as far as the stuff to do. Getting quests. There will be traders in the game. They're going to be mostly robots or super mutants. It's again just weird that they made that aesthetic choice
Mm-hmm.
as far as the lore goes, and as far as again, it just seems so weird. I mean, I get the excitement. I see a player out there. It's a huge map. I run across somebody. I know it's a human. Okay, I get that. Then again, I don't think it'd be too hard to tell if someone was a human or not, like an actual player, um, depending on how they actually design everything. I mean, I think you already see name bars over people's heads as it is, so you
Yeah.
would know that's a person.
Well, is it going to have it to where I always like I don't play Rust or any PvP at all because you get so many griefers in there and they just picking on you and that's why I don't play Rust. I don't want to get smacked over my head with a rock with a naked guy from a naked guy. I mean, I don't want to. They have little, I guess, things in place to make it to where you don't get grieved in there from other players. Then
Yes and no. And that brings us to the
okay,
next part, which is the PvP aspect I mentioned. So, like I
okay,
said, originally they didn't want to actually have PvP in the game. They decided to go ahead and add it in. Personally, I'm glad they did. And the way they implemented it is as such. Um, Say me and you are playing 76 and we run across each other.
mm-hmm,
So let's say, I want to fight you. So the way I would try to fight you is I would attack you. It doesn't matter how I could shoot you. I could run up and smack you. Like I said yesterday,
mm-hmm,
it's like starting a duel. If I run up and smack you, I'll wait and see if you attack me back. And if you do, okay, game on. Shit goes down.
uh huh.
If you don't want to, you can just run away and not fight me. Now, no matter what I do to you, that initial attack, that little, slap, that dual slap,
Mm-hmm.
is going to do minimal damage. It doesn't matter what weapon I'm using or how strong it is, how high level I am. If I smack you, minimal damage. It's just to kind of get your attention and say, hey, do you want to attack this or fight this person?
So even if you keep shooting at me or slapping me, is going to keep on putting that damage on me?
Or here's the thing, after that initial
Okay.
slap, and I'm not sure what the time is between the attacks, but after that initial slap, if you decide you don't want to fight me, you can run off or just walk away. I can then still attack you, and then we still fight. So, like, let's say I attack you, you don't want to fight me, you walk away, like, whatever. Well, I can go
Mm-hmm.
ahead and attack you, and if I kill you, I now get a bounty on my head. And the more
Ah.
people that I do that to, the higher the bounty is. And here's the thing: the bounty that's paid off stays on me until somebody else kills me. Anybody can kill me at that point without having to slap, so someone could just snipe me from nowhere, and I'm just dead. There's no slap damage if I kill you
Ah.
like that. And on
So
top of
you don't
that, the
have.
money for the bounty comes out of my own pocket.
So
And
it's a big double negative then, right?
yeah, and apparently, if you don't have the money to pay off your own bounty, you apparently get a giant debuff to your damage for 3 actual played hours in game. That's what we're just finding out here recently. So let's say I have 100 cap bounty. Caps are the bottle caps of the money of Fallout. So let's
Okay.
say I've only got 10 caps and my bounty's 100. If I die, well, that bounty can't be paid out of my pocket, so I've got a debuff. And from what I understand, it's just my damage in general. I haven't seen anything that says it's damage just to other players. It seems to be just my damage in general. So I am actually hobbled from playing the game if I'm just attacking people. Now there is still an upside because again, this is a crafting game. So junk, pretty much like in any other game, you want to go out, find junk, you want to find scrap to actually use to build stuff. Well, if you get killed, the only thing you lose is the junk that you're carrying. Now,
if you get killed by another player.
period. If you die, you drop all your junk. Now, what they're saying is that if you die to like an NPC or out in the world, or actually if you die, period, you will get a quest to go back and retrieve your junk. Now, if you die, from an NPC, questing or something, it's likely it's still going to be there. You still have all your weapons, you still have all your armor, you just go back, try again, and get your stuff. If you die by a player, you drop your junk, that player can take your junk. So that's really the only incentive besides being a dick or just wanting to kill somebody.
Yeah.
To kill somebody. So there is...
Kill them and get their stuff. Yep.
Yeah. And then on top of that, apparently if you die, you respawn fairly close by. So let's say I kill you, you didn't want to fight, and I kill you anyway, I take your junk, well, you're going to respawn fairly close by with your weapon still. And since I've got a bounty now, you can just out and out kill me without the slap damage and then take my stuff.
So
now,
you get your stuff back, you get the bounty off the guy that killed you and get his stuff.
Exactly. So that's how they're handling that. Now, they had mentioned, and again, I got to get some specific names here, but I wasn't in the interview, but they were wondering about making other incentives because that is a pretty hefty price to pay for PvP. But they're wondering, should there be any other incentives for PvP? And I think it was Pete Hines who said that, players don't need an incentive to kill other players, which is true. I mean, if you're just in a bad mood and want to kill somebody, you don't need an incentive. Even with that debuff, if you got the money, you don't need an incentive to kill somebody else. I mean, that really is... Getting their junk as it is already a pretty big incentive. So they're right on that. You don't need much of an incentive to do it. On top of that, you can be in a group of up to 4 people.
Oh, you can make a clan or a squad or something?
Yeah, you can make a squad. We're not sure how clans or any factions work. It'll mainly be kind of like an offline faction, like you and your buddies have like a faction you just call yourselves or something. But yes, you can actually play together as up to a 4-man squad.
Oh, okay.
So that was the concern as far as the PvP goes, but that's how that one's going to be kind of handled. So people were worried, well, what if I just want to play the game? Because the entire game is supposed to be balanced to where you can do it single player. Just like any MMO, you can get through the entire story single player. Now, there are also going to be like certain quests or like area quests to do. Take a game, I know you might not have played it, but take a game like Destiny where you run around and there'll be like an area quest going on for like, 10 minutes. Whoever is close by, it can participate in it. You do it, you're automatically teamed up with those guys doing that quest, and then when you're done, everybody gets some of the, equal share of the loot.
Of it. Awesome.
Yeah, same thing. So there's going to be quests like that in it to do. You can do that with your friends. There's also going to be PvP quests like that too. So there are going to be some PvP type events. I keep saying quests. There are going to be some PvP events that you can actually participate in. And obviously, if you choose to do that, then the bounty rules I don't think would actually apply because you're choosing to participate in that kind of event. So it actually gives PvP players something to kind of do too besides going around and griefing other people.